Good evening and welcome all. So recording is in progress, and is it video or sound? Are we having a video recording? Is
The
anybody?
screen says both.
Okay, great. So I need a motion to start.
Motion to open up the public hearing for 195 Appleton.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We just messed up.
Yes, we did.
I need a motion to suspend the rule.
I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Anybody seconding it?
I second.
Second.
Okay. And go out of order. Well, no, we open the year. And okay, so we are going to start the meeting
Meeting minutes.
and correct the minutes. Then we'll go to the open hearing. Now, I need for everybody to state their name.
Christopher Gothier.
Luis Salazar.
Ilana Aubrey.
Paula Feldadio.
So I had one question, Paula, with regard to reviewing the minutes, and
Mhm.
perhaps Ms. Degnan can help us out with this. If we wanted to quickly note some of the changes that need to happen, editorial changes in the minutes, and we just list it, is that something that can be followed up via email so that we don't actually have to spend time in the meeting going through like a fine tooth comb?
I don't see why not. As long as you read the changes out loud.
Right.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, because I guess in another life I was an editor, so I'm inevitably always finding edits to mark. But I obviously don't want to take up a ton of time doing that. So
So why don't we start with your changes?
okay. Just looking for the minutes from last week's meeting. Of course, I can't find them. Okay, so just in the first paragraph, the number 3, it just feels like we should be capitalizing the owners at all the time. So when it's Dodge or whatever the name of the company is, it should be capitalized. As well, it seems like the name of the attorney was not differentiated to identify him as an attorney, because he's mentioned later in that same section, and it just says Haler as opposed to him being the attorney. There are a couple of other just basic editorial changes, just words that don't belong there, not there, since, not since, continued instead of continued the, and that's in section 4. And then in section 8, regarding the CPA, I think it would just be helpful to have Bartley and Puello identified as city councilors. And then in number 11, tourism meeting survey, the word survey is missing. So I presented information on the tourism survey. And that's all that I found. So I'm happy to follow up via email.
Excellent. Now, one thing that I'm not clear about, when we do the meeting minutes, we have to have everybody that was present. So I have 2 names to add. Faye.
I
Oh,
thought we were all writing the minutes because they were missing.
Oh, okay.
I
So,
thought that was going to be in this meeting.
okay.
Minutes up until the recording.
Yeah.
We're all going to write together.
Oh, okay,
I did miss things.
okay.
Did the best I could.
They
Chris,
look-
you got to speak into the mic, please. I can barely hear you.
Oh,
Alana, I just thought with our last meeting, since the recording was missing, that I had asked all the commissioners to actually write the minutes. So we would have them because I missed certain things.
yeah, but we cannot do that because of open meeting law, I think. But your minutes were fine.
Okay,
Your
okay,
minutes were fine.
okay.
So, but you need to add Lauren, Lauren,
Mhm.
Niles, Niles. She was present. And Faye Hirsch.
And those were both public? As
Public.
Okay.
And so that's all I have.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for April 11th, 2022. Make the changes as needed.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So before we go back to the open hearing, for the public, there are agendas. If you don't have one, if you would like to take one. And also if you could,
We need to have a signage as well.
oh, okay.
Use that one.
Perfect. And we are back in person. We're just getting used to it. It's nice to see public. So yeah, so we'll make sure that we have their name.
Yes.
And should we just do
We
a
can put
sign?
paper,
Yeah,
we can put the
perfect.
name and it's fine.
Better. Sorry. First in person. Just a long. Just we keep a record of.
Okay, and we are now, I need a motion to return to the open hearing for 195 Appleton that we just opened.
I make a motion that we take up the order of the public hearing for 195 Appleton.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. So where were we?
I believe last we talked was this very specific request on the commission's part to look at the issues of which buildings were going to be knocked down and whether there was a compromise. It appears that they have submitted a new plan that would maintain the buildings that we had expressed interest in, including the stack and the building with the boilers and the large building, but that almost everything else would be demolished. Correct?
Yes.
So we're continuing the public hearing on this.
Yes, so in the material, the new drawing has been submitted. And I don't know if Mr. Dodge or Mr. Gore want to tell us, basically, you're just going to submit the demolition permit with the new diagram, am I correct?
This is Shannon Dodge with Devon. Just going to at least identify, so we have two separate renderings that we have submitted. The first and original, which proposed keeping buildings A, B, and E, and D. And now the new proposed, attempting to find the compromise for this, the preferred skyline imagery. We were proposing to keep A, D, I, and the smokestack. So with that being said, you know, the demolition portion, you know, as long as we can come into an agreement on, you know, that maybe our new option is suitable, then we would, you know, then ensure that the demolition paperwork was proper. As of the last meeting, I was a little concerned that it seemed we spent a lot of time worrying about the documentation of the demolition permit. But I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page and identify the fact that if we're not able to find a compromise through, you know, these two proposed options, there's no need for us to worry about a demolition permit. Quite honestly, we would just walk away from the project. So I just want to make sure we separate those two. And my focus and my hope is that we can look at the two documents that we provided, and, you know, hopefully they are, you know, that they were a compromise as to what you were looking for the city skyline.
Just noting on the diagram, the revised one, the letter D is still there as well. So I know that's sort of a very small area in front of A. That's like a loading dock or something. So that's being kept as well, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just want to clarify. So basically everything that's in orange is to be kept and everything in blue is to be taken down.
Correct.
How you want to frame this?
I would like the commission thoughts.
I mean, I think it's a big difference from the last proposal. I think keeping the smokestack and the boiler room, we're preserving a bunch of what we actually wanted to have in the building. Even beyond the skyline, which is a priority, it's also like the historical, you know, component of the whole meal. That's, in my opinion, our only, like, you know, level of analysis here. If we are preserving historically the building, and I think from my standing point, it looks good.
Thank you.
I'm actually very happy with the second rendering. I think it's just what we're asking for. The smokestack, as Louis said, the boiler room. I understand the damage with the other buildings that have been damaged with fire neglect. I mean, I'm very impressed with the second drawings.
I would agree. I just had one question though, regarding the space between this building and the other building. So that parking lot, whose property is that?
I just want to clarify. So if we're looking at the second imagery, are you referring to the space that currently houses the letter C?
Yeah, that
okay.
whole space.
To be honest with you, I don't rightly know. I don't know how much of that property is associated with the building of our interest. I do know there's very little, but as far as where that line is, unfortunately, I don't have that answer for you today.
Okay. Louise, do you know anything about where that line from the Warrigan, you know, is there like an imaginary line there in that lot?
I can pull up the GPI for the city and see who that lot might belong to.
Okay, that'd be great. I too am in agreement. I feel like the owners here really heard us, and I think part of what we're trying to do is help people understand why our role is what it is to preserve historic components of our city. And I think that going back to the drawing board and accommodating this was really great. So I too am in agreement, even though I'm sad to see those other buildings go. I understand the reasons behind it.
Give me a minute here. 195. Okay. That would be lot 006. It's Spartan. Well, and I don't know if it's updated, but it's Spartan Nominee Realty Trust, co-owned by Ryan, and I'll just spell the last name, MaryruthTRS. And that's assuming that the register office has updated everything.
Thanks, Paula.
Sure. So Mr. Dodge, I wanted to say I was also very happy when I saw the second proposal. Because we're in the middle of a public hearing, I could not be effusive in my email back to you guys, but I was really glad that you decided to make this step. Also, I just wanted to add that some of your demolition, it's actually going to make the building a little better, because I think the building will look a lot better once you take C down in the back. I also, I'm perfectly happy with this design. One thing that I just want to make sure we can close the hearing today. I want to make sure, because there were questions in the last hearing, that my presentation, the first presentation I did the first day of the hearing regarding the historical importance of the mill, I thought it was good research and all, but since we had some questioning, I also went back to the history room. I started an evaluation form. And so as I wrote down all of the building and the damage and all of that, I think we are fine with the demolition, because a lot of the building have lost a lot of the original detail or the decay. As we went through the walk, it has become rather impossible to save them. So I think we are at a very good point here.
Awesome, thank you.
Attorney Deegan, how are we on the legal? Can we close the hearing?
Yes, you may wish to, I'm not sure if you wish to take a vote, but, as to whether or not to grant the permit. But I don't think anything else needs to be done. The letter that I received, for the last meeting, I'm satisfied that, it fixed the problem that we had, with respect to, whether or not Spartan consented to this demolition. So we're okay from that standpoint.
Okay, and I'm sorry, take a vote on the permit.
Well, I'm not sure how you normally do these things. I mean, I guess the issue is whether or not the demolition permit's going to be issued. Is that something that you do, or is it just it's historically significant?
No, the only thing we can do is issue a demolition delay or not. That's what we vote on.
Right. That's correct. So
Yeah.
you have to decide on that issue.
Yes. And I'm saying, what I'm asking you, legally, we can close the hearing and vote.
Unless there's something else you wanted to, the committee wanted to vet. Are there any other
Mhm.
questions or comments? If there aren't, then yes, you can close the hearing.
Yeah. So any more comments at all?
I think just to add that we are, of course, if things, keep move forward in regarding to the demolition and then, the business happen, we are always open to advice and consult of anything
Mhm.
related to the mill in terms of preserving the boiler, telling the kind of the history of the mill in this case, and provide any kind of consulting for any company that is interested in buying. So that can be highlighted for the future, because that's pretty much the most important, piece after we decide or not a demolition delay. And I think, in the other hand, I feel that just in the need to express that this is a perfect case study for us of having a conversation only focused on historical preservation and having a great response from the other side. So I just want to add my congratulations to the company that's interested in this building.
And yeah, Mr. Dodge, I don't know if this is in the public hearing or after, but I think you're gonna have the coolest office in Holyoke.
Looking forward to it.
And again, we are open for letter, if you do want to apply for any grants or anything, we are open for supporting the project.
No, that's excellent. I would like to at least just comment. I think per our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of a plaque or something out in the front explaining the history. That we very much kind of embrace that idea. So with that being said, we will most definitely be in contact, with the historical committee to ensure, the proper accuracy, because we very much like that concept.
Great. And I also very much appreciated your coolness and matter of factness throughout it, which I think allow us to go through. When you said it's the same square footage, we can do that. It was very much appreciated.
Thank you.
So I need a motion to close the open hearing.
I make a motion to close the open hearing related to the demolition delay for 195 Appleton Street.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this point, we need to vote, and the motion basically, we're voting on whether to apply a demolition delay. And the motion has to be made in the positive. We are voting by roll call. Yea is you want to impose the delay. Nay, you do not want to impose the delay. A is abstention, and the chair must vote last. And I need a motion.
You're putting it on me. I make a motion that we vote to move forward. I'm going to screw this up. Somebody else do it, please. Chris?
You have to make the motion on the positive. So the motion is to be on motion to apply the demolition delay to the Merrick Mill 195 Appleton.
I make a motion to apply the demo delay for 195 Appleton Street.
Mhm.
I second that.
Mr. Gauthier,
Nay.
Mr. Salazar,
Nay.
Ms. Audrey,
Nay.
and the chair votes nay. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. So motion for the following demolition delay, 110 Appleton, to open the public hearing.
I make a motion to open the demo delay application for one.
No,
No,
it's not an application.
No. Say it again. No, it's 110, correct?
Mhm.
I make a motion to open the public hearing for 110 Appleton Street.
Mhm.
That's it.
I second.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we can start with it, please, with an introduction. And I need you, oh, here, hold on, where is it? There should be one.
What is your
extra
name?
one. Have a seat. And you need to state your name for the record.
My name is Eric Babsky. I'm representing Edaron LLC in the demolition for 110 Appleton Street. Edaron purchased this property back in the 80s for the rights to the lot as it abuts our manufacturing facility and affects the ability for our trucks to get in and out of our loading dock. Edaron used the building temporarily for storage of equipment and documents. Over the years, the building has deteriorated, and Edaron no longer has a use for the building, but still would like to maintain ownership of the property. After getting pricing for repairing the building, we determined that based on the value of the building and the cost of the repairs it needed, it was more cost effective to demolish the building and use the space as open parking for the manufacturing facility. When the building is demolished, there's a retaining wall along Appleton Street that will be repaired, replaced with a new retaining wall with a chain link fence and guardrail along the top of the wall to prevent any pedestrians or vehicles from falling off the top of the wall. And the lot will be leveled to the existing abutting parking lot and used by Edaron employees and guests. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a handful of questions. What is the business? What is Edaron's manufacturing?
Edaron manufactures jigsaw puzzles, and we're the largest jigsaw puzzle manufacturer in the United States. My grandfather started the company here in Holyoke back in the early 80s, and we've been here ever since. We employ over 150 people. We also lease warehousing space next to US Subaki, also in Holyoke. We'd like to stay in Holyoke for as long as possible. This is where we started, where we've grown up. We're doing manufacturing the old bowling alley. It used to be a bowling alley down on Appleton Street in the 70s. So we've been making jigsaw puzzles in those lanes for almost 40 years.
So I guess just a sort of natural question would be, you've owned this property since the 80s. The building has probably been in disrepair for far longer. How come no efforts were made when costs might have been lower to repair the building before it fell into complete disrepair?
The owners at the time had no use for the building itself. They did do a roof repair about 15 years ago on part of the roof to maintain its structure. That was just on half of the roof, so they somewhat maintained it, but there was no use for the building itself. It's just been vacant and used for storage. Edaron has now since been acquired by new owners at the end of 2020. or was it? Yes. And now the new ownership, which is Buffalo Games LLC, have no use for the building and have decided to make a move on it and use their funds to demolish it.
Sorry, I just have one other question. So I brought this property up on Google, and I think the question of this retaining wall remains a little confusing. I think in part because there's an overpass where that abuts this building. Is that the retaining wall that you're referring to?
No, so the retaining wall I'm referring to is parallel with Appleton Street. It starts at the overpass, which is actually a railroad overpass, and it continues up the hill to the entrance to Edaron's parking lot. So it's currently a wall there now with two garage. If you're on Google Street View, you can actually see two garage door entrances going into the wall. Those garage doors will be replaced with a wall itself.
Okay, because one thing I couldn't help but notice in all this paperwork that you submitted is this wall is a completely separate entity unto itself. And I just kind of want to make sure that when we're talking about demolition, that, you know, it sounds like there's no responsibility that your company has for that wall. I mean, there seems to be specific language removing your responsibility for that wall, something to that effect.
No, so what it is now is that wall is the basement to this building. When we remove the building, we'll be filling in the basement, but we want to maintain that street view from Appleton Street. If we were to remove the wall with the building, it would have to be a graded slope from the street up to the existing parking lot area, which would render the entire space useless. We want to maintain use of that lot. And the wall as it is now, since it's a basement wall, it's not designed to retain just a parking lot behind it. So it would have to be removed with the building and replaced with a new engineered wall that's engineered for drainage and everything that meets engineering permits and standards. So if you're actually on Google Street View on Appleton Street, looking at 110 Appleton Street, if you rotate around 180 degrees and look at the opposing building across the street, which is Sullivan Scrap, right up against that overpass you mentioned, you'll see a gray concrete brick wall. That's what this wall will look like, and it'll be directly across. So it'll kind of match. It'll match what's existing across the street from itself. In my opinion, it'll look much more favorably than what the property looks like right now. I also like to mention that the disrepair of this property got worse exponentially over the last 2 winters, which actually forced us to put a temporary chain link fence along the sidewalk leading up Appleton Street from the overpass to protect pedestrians from getting hit by possible falling debris from the building. We've explored repairing the brickwork. The brickwork repairs needed just along Appleton Street exceed $100,000. So that's just to maintain the safety of the property along that street.
So I have a couple of questions, because who holds the deed right now? Because I was looking at the deed and it's Apparon. There's 2 Apparons. It's confusing.
So Edaron LLC was purchased by Buffalo Games as a whole.
Okay.
And this property was owned outright by Edaron,
Yeah.
and it was part of the purchase agreement for the company.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's owned by by Buffalo Games and their financial partnership. And if it looks like there's a lease on the property, it's not a lease on the particular property. It's kind of on the company as a whole. So our financial director is working with them to square that away and get the proper paperwork and affidavit for you.
Okay, so because right now at the registry of deed, it looks like it still belongs to Edaron. Is that correct?
It belongs to Edaron LLC.
See,
Yes.
okay. So you are here for a prospective buyer to you, or are you the prospective buyer?
No, I'm an employee of Edaron LLC.
Okay, and you are in the process to sell it to Buffalo? I'm
No, Buffalo
confused.
Games owns it. They already bought this. I'm just representing the company. I'm leading this project to get this
So
something done.
Appleton is connected to Buffalo Games.
Yes.
Okay. It's
So Paula,
confusing.
I think
Yeah.
what may be at issue is a similar thing to what we came up with Dodge. Was that
Yes,
Dodge was actually owned by another company, and we needed the legal documentation to determine that it was okay to move forward with all of this. Using the name Edaron isn't going to be helpful here because the company has been bought by somebody else. So I think until we get the proof of that, right? I mean, it's the same situation,
yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah. So our group is working to get that documentation
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Good. So probably, and looking through, also, when are you gonna go to the planning board with are you gonna have a review at all with the planning board?
So Associated Building Records is who's leading this project for us. They're the contractor that's hired to do the work. And I'm trailing by their coattails.
Mhm.
They're leading the way for this project.
Okay, because so there's a few glitches. I feel we don't have all the material, but I would like to give you as much feedback as possible so we can go forth. And one thing, one of the things that we try to determine is if what you do there is, alter significantly the landscape of the city. One thing that, in terms of the importance of the building, Luis and I were at the history room. This is not the Merrick Mill 3, is not an incredibly important building, in my opinion. Luis may have a different opinion, but it's brick. It's very much an era in Holyoke, was built in 1920, probably. And we are concerned every time a brick building comes down, it changes the landscape. Also, the building, I know, you give an assessed value of, the assessed value is 27,000 or 35,000.
23,000.
23,000. But, I happen to be a realtor and I see what things are selling in Holyoke. So even if you put $200,000 for repairing, you could probably have a value of a lot more on this building. So I'm thinking about but if you need a parking lot, again, also the city is losing one building, is losing taxes. We lose a building that is within the landscape. The commission may want a site visit.
Okay.
I was there on my own. I see that a lot of new buildings have been built, but I think as you straighten out the legal, and if you bring us rendering and visual, I think that would be very useful for us.
Mhm.
Because we are making a determination for the city. Also, again, just as a realtor, and I see that it seems that there could be value in this building. So I would like you to just entertain that idea. Sometimes people come and, for Holyoke, they just think that things are not worth anything. But we actually are a city that is starting to be worth a lot,
Mhm.
So I just want you to think about all of those things. Any other commissioners?
On my opinion, I think that our focus is in the historical preservation. So we have to make an assessment ourselves. We already started the assessment before the meeting. We went to a history room. We had an idea what was in there. It's in a lot of maps, and it had a purpose and a role in the whole industrial complex of the city. So we just need to double check, see, we did the same process with in the prior hearing. It's just to make sure that we are giving an informed opinion on our side, and then just make this hearing like more successful down the road. And that's on my side.
And I saw a raised hand, and we'll open it to the public in a second, and you've been acknowledged. Thank you. Anybody else?
Just quickly, Paula. So we're still waiting for the paperwork. I know I saw the notes about who logistically owns the building, and then something with the bank.
That's a question for Attorney Deegan.
Okay. Attorney D,
Yes,
so we're still waiting for some type of letter of who physically owns the building? And I thought there was something with a mortgage.
well, yeah, there is a mortgage. I think the gentleman mentioned it, that
Yeah.
they're working to get, what they need is an affidavit of consent.
The affidavit, okay.
Yeah, because you just can't demo the building if the bank has a mortgage on it. And this is a pretty high mortgage that covers 100 Appleton, 110 Appleton, and then another space that doesn't have a number, so it must not have a building on it. But yeah, we need that affidavit of consent. And if there is an ownership problem here, if there's a PNS, it is like the other, like 195 Appleton, and we do need either a copy of the purchase and sale agreement or a letter.
And would you be willing to give us, would the commission want a
Site
site?
visit, yes.
A site?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And are we able to set a date already, or our commissioner?
You tell me when you're available.
Is that something we can do after the meeting? Or maybe we can get some dates from the company and see if it meets with us, or no, we have to do it here? Okay,
Well, it's just easier. So
Okay.
It's just easier.
sure.
If I may,
Next week.
ju- if I may, just be clear, yeah, you have to do it in the meeting, so people in the public know the date in which it's been continued to. So you actually have to
Okay.
pick a date here.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
And this is just a site visit, so
Starting with next week or further.
Let's propose a couple of dates, and then we can vote if we can.
mhm.
I can only be available the May 20th, which is a Friday.
It works. What
That
time?
would work for me, other than between 12:30 and 2. So I could do that morning or after 2 o'clock that day.
12:30?
Mornings on the
Morning.
5:20 is fine for me.
Alan, I'm sorry, you said 12:30 to 2 or?
Yeah, I'm not free. I'm not free.
She's not available
Oh, okay.
between 12:30.
So morning is good.
Okay,
Like
10
10 a.m.
10:30, can we do 10:30?
sure.
Sure.
Perfect. So, yeah, so a visual of what it will be, we'll do the site review, you'll get your legal done, so that at the next meeting, we'll probably be good to go.
Okay.
And do we have comments from the public? Okay, yes, and come get a microphone and you have to state your name and address.
Yes, hi, my name is Gabriela Alcantara. I live in 589 Pleasant Street in Holyoke. So my question is, because I haven't seen, I'm just a resident of Holyoke, and I would like to not see any more demolitions of brick buildings. So my question is twofold. One, is the parking really needed for that abutting big building? Are really 125 people are gonna park in that area? And the second is, what is the extent of the damage in the building? Is it reparable?
Yeah, and
That's my question.
yeah, and actually they have been providing
Okay.
providing estimate, and I think the documented estimate, so not the full estimate, but the documented one, we have, it's 100 and something, right?
145,000.
Yeah, I got a estimate for repairing the external brickwork for $145,000. And I received the estimate to replace the roof at between $180,000 and $250,000.
Okay,
Because there
which,
is-
okay, which
yeah.
you will get to us.
I have a copy with me. I can
Perfect,
provide it,
perfect.
and I'll send it through email as
Great,
well.
great.
Yes, and to answer your question about the parking, our business fluctuates. We have a busy season and a slow season. Right now is considered somewhat of our slow season. We'll be ramping up in July to get puzzles out to the stores for Christmas. At that time, we do have a lot of temporary employees. We can have up to 50 temporary employees working at our facility. So the extra parking does get quite tight with what we have now. We have people parking in our dirt lot in the back. We'd like to avoid that. But the main reason we are deciding to do something about this building is because of the state that it's in is a danger to the community as well as our employees. And the cost to repair the building is equal to the cost to tear it down, just about. And since we have no need for the building, and that's just the cost to fix the bricks, it's not the cost to actually repair the inside of the building so that it's usable. The company as a whole has decided that the best course of action is to remove the building from the property.
Where will the factory be? Where is the
The
factory?
factory is right next door.
Okay, so you will use a building
Yes,
that is there?
yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are there any other public comments?
Hi, good afternoon, Gloria Caballero. Hi, 5 Whiting Avenue. It's just a comment, and I don't know to what extent do we as Holyokers and people who live here should value, and I think a lot, this heritage, which is part of our history, part of Holyoke, and it's part of what we should all, be proud of. This masonry and craftsmanship is no longer present in our current history. So I would plead for that building to stay as someone who really values history. And this is part of something that we should care for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If nobody else on the commission has any questions, I'd like to make a motion to table for the next meeting pending the.
No, we don't table.
We're not tabling?
No, we make a motion to keep the hearing open to a given
Okay,
date.
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I gotta get my correct verbs in for this meeting, so. But I don't want to preempt anybody else from asking
I'm
questions.
sorry, I got a hands up in the audience.
Great,
Okay,
great.
so do I need to go to the microphone?
Yes, please.
Yes, I submitted my application to be considered for appointment to belong to the commission probably a month and a half ago. So I would like to know if you have heard.
No,
From
we
the
can't now. We
You can't
can't.
do that
No,
now?
we're in the middle of a public hearing.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
I
sorry.
don't know the mechanics.
Yeah.
so
No,
please forgive me.
no. Sorry. So, motion, please.
Make a motion to continue the hearing for 110 Appleton until our next meeting.
No, I'm sorry. Because otherwise we have to continue the hearing from now until the next
Oh,
meeting.
so
No, you
we
want to
have to-
make a motion to keep the hearing open
Okay,
to a given date,
okay,
and then you state the date.
okay. I'm making a motion to keep the hearing open until, when is our next meeting?
Uh,
June. June 13th,
June 13th.
the second Monday, yes.
And it's not a state holiday, right?
No,
Great.
nothing.
I need a second.
I
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much, and I hope we've been helpful.
Thank you. I'll see you on the 20th.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Good work, everybody. So next item on the agenda is the CPA update. And as you know, there's been a lot of commotion about the Girls Inc. building. And Attorney Deegan has been working at the legal opinion. And I asked her, since we have her here, I distribute the legal opinion, but she can give us some explanation and what she's dealing with. Also, I wanted to tell you that basically I was at the Finance Committee meeting until 11 at night. We came in at 10:30. Exactly. So we really have to be on top of things with letters and everything, because, and Louise had to go to CPA meeting. It's been a lot more work for everybody, this grant. So Attorney Deegan, thank you for being here. And if you can give us some information.
Yes, good evening. You do have the legal opinion in front of you. And as you see on item B, there's a report from the Finance Committee. What happened is that committee continued. I mean, a decision was not made. There's going to be another meeting on May 23rd, because I had gotten some documentation from the engineer for this project at 480 Hampden Street, whereby the engineer explained much more about what was happening with respect to this project. And that's helpful in making a legal determination, because as you probably heard and as you've read, there's an issue about whether or not the work being proposed constitutes repair, because under Chapter 44B, Section 5, CPA monies cannot be used for repair. So I had been reviewing that letter, and what I told the committee, Finance Committee, because I was asked whether or not the project was killed, I said no, that I would be able to review the letter a little bit more from the engineer, because what they did was they explained what, how, and why they were doing it. And that information is very helpful, because there's no case law, there's no Massachusetts case law at the state or federal level that addresses this question. So really, it's very fact driven, and the more facts we know is necessary in order to render an opinion as to whether or not this is maintenance repair, or whether this is the type of repair that can be used, CPA funds can be used. And the chapter's not been written yet, it's not closed. I was asked directly if this was a dead issue, and I said no. So I'm going to be speaking on the issue some more. I received another letter from another entity, the architect, which I am reviewing. So pretty much that's really all I have for you right now. It will be, we're going to discuss this again on the 23rd of May. And that's when a decision will be made. So really, I'm kind of in flux right now. That's all I have to report to you on this day. But if you have questions, I will try to answer them.
I guess I'm sort of flabbergasted to hear you say that there's no precedent for this. It seems,
Not at all.
seems like it would be a fairly common
Yeah.
concern to
No.
be brought up, given the scale and the amount of old buildings and the money that comes through.
I thought so too. I was just as flabbergasted. And you have the statute, which, okay, you can read the statute, but in terms of applying fact to law, a court has not come down on this issue. And I mentioned that there's another concern that we have to watch out for. That's the anti-aid amendment, but that's nothing. I mean, a lot of this stuff really is going to be discussed at finance. It'll be discussed, I'm sure, at city council. I'm sure at the CPC meetings, because we'll be having conversations with them. But yeah, I was just as flabbergasted, but there isn't. There are various guidelines. I looked at the informational guideline put out by the Division of Local Services, which municipalities use to help them out in situations like this. But it wasn't clear enough. It restated what we already knew. So, we're basically just trying to get as much information as we could so we can make a decision. That's all. I mean, the question was brought up by a counselor. So the law department is working very diligently, and we're going to be talking to the counselors. And I'm sorry I don't have, because I have, we still have more things to look through. I don't have a definitive answer on 480 Hampden right now, but we will have by May 23rd.
Just like to make one last comment. In sort of thinking about how this is being discussed, it doesn't differ to me all that much from, proposal we had a few months ago for approving CPA funding for something that was not even in the city, that we weren't sure was kept in the city, was owned by anybody in the city. It was part of the Victory Theater. There was some, they asked for monies to repair. I can't even remember this video thing. I'm doing a bad job of describing it, but the issue that we came up against was that it wasn't actually historical. It wasn't in the city of Holyoke. We didn't actually know who owned it. And I'm concerned that this is a somewhat similar issue if we're talking about a part of the building that is not historical. So that's the only thing. And I know that that's one of our, at least I think the Historic Commission is concerned about that piece.
And one of the things, Elana, that I spoke with Attorney Deegan, it's so important to have very precise letter with information once we send them back to CPA. We cannot have one-liners.
Thank you, Paula. Yeah, that is true. It just, it makes, quite frankly, because I know this is the commission that is tasked with determining historical significance. And the chair is absolutely correct. The more information you give, the stronger, should I say, argument or stronger position that you're making. And that maybe that can go either way, whether yes, it's historical and this is why, or no, it's not historical and this is why. And I think Commissioner Aubrey made a good point about historical significance and alteration, because you don't want to have a situation where there's so much alteration that it's losing its historical significance. And I know that all of you commissioners are very very mindful and diligent about that. So I just wanted to mention that.
And again, in conversation with Attorney Deegan, she made a very good point. She said, she lives, she passed by on the way to work near Marville House, and which is maintained. And I was thinking about, Hemingway House in the Key, or Diego Rivera's house in Mexico City. But again, the very important point, I think we also have to ask how much of this building has been removed. That feeling of authenticity, of history, of feeling history when we're there, it's gone. And I think that could be a good question for us in future evaluation for CPA project, and whether a building is historic. If it's historic because of a person or an event, we also, I think, need to consider how much of the original building is there. Or it makes for a very long night at City Council. Anything else?
We expressed our opinions about that building like 3 meetings ago, I think.
Mhm.
So it's still like a debate, like I think there's parts of the project that I can see both sides very clearly. And I think for me, the more I think about that work, the question is more like, once again, philosophical. It's like, are we preserving this for the sake of preserving a building, or are we behind the historical significance of a building in town? So I think sometimes both things can be in a very blurry line. And I feel like, as the attorney said, the more information we have, the more we dig inside the history of that space, we can probably clarify on our end that importance. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones who meet in the letter of historical relevance to the CPA.
And again, of course, this is a second factor, but we need to make sure that once we make a decision, is very well explained and documented, because otherwise it's a ripple effect and everybody has to work 10 times more. Yeah. Anything else on this point?
For clarification.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were talking about the building for Girls Inc. and the Victor Theater at the same time.
No, just.
I
the
couldn't hear
building.
that. I couldn't hear that.
Oh, she asked if we were talking about the Girls Inc. building and the Victory Theater at the same time, but we weren't.
This
It's
is
just
an example of,
yeah.
We face the same challenge with both. They were not present, so we kind of have to make a decision. And then in the structure of CPA, we, as a local historical commission, we have to give an opinion about since they are not in mass historic, we have to submit a letter of clarification around that.
But for the Victory Theater, it wasn't the Victory Theater. They came to us because they wanted to buy a ticket booth. There was actually the ticket booth it's actually comical, a ticket booth at Mountain Park, which at this point is in Northampton. They wanted to buy it, put it on wheel, and put a big neon sign on it. And they wanted an historical grant for that, for the Victory Theater. So, we were like, no. It was just this completely, it was hopeful on their part, but there was no way we could sign off on that. Excellent. Anything else? Any question? Anything else on this point?
think no. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, so we are going to the Preservation of Historic Building Ordinance update. So for, I think, I presented at the last, I need a motion to pick up, where's the agenda? Item 6 and item 7 at the same time, because they're gonna overlap.
I make a motion that we take up both items 6, preservation of historic buildings ordinance update, and number 7, letter to Mayor Garcia and report on conversation with Mayor Garcia.
I second that.
So,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, it was interesting because I went in front of ordinance, and our proposal was taken on really enthusiastically by 2 councilors. And we were all surprised. They said, we will send it to legal. And then when we come back, we can vote and send it to city council. And Attorney Deegan, have you done the revision and send them to the ordinance commission?
I am sorry, I have not.
That's
I have-
okay. That's okay. That's fine. So we are not on the next. I saw the agenda. We're not on the next agenda, but it's probably a good thing. So I will write Chair Bacon and ask to be on the June agenda. But as soon as it pass, so that is good. But as soon as it passed, Chris and I were supposed to go meet the mayor for the letter that I sent the mayor regarding the joining of the commissions. But the mayor called me in his office with some urgency on Friday. And we talked for about 2 hours about the merging of the commission that we got, but about the ordinance commission, the demolition delay extension to 12 months. And he is very contrary to that. And basically, he believes that it's something that would stop development. And I spent a lot of time going step by step and explaining that it may stop a certain kind of development, but it will bring better development. I talked about the fact that for preservation tools, you need 12 months to do anything to save a building. I brought the 2 examples of Mater Dolorosa and 120, 124 Appleton, Walnut. But what was interesting is that, it didn't, and what he has said to me at the meeting said, well, if city council passes it, I won't veto it, but I'm against it. But then that Sunday sent the letter that I show you to city council, which is very problematic. Because basically what it is, and it's clear that, so it either heard my argument and thought it was powerful, and he thought if she repeats that to the council, it'll pass, or I couldn't convince him and he wanted to move forth. But right now we are at a situation where, and I want your opinion, by having that letter out, and now he's asking councilor directly, don't approve this because it feels like it stops my development plan.
What did he say of anything about the comparison, like with the other communities? I know you had included that.
Well,
with the link.
he had not looked at it.
No.
It's
Okay.
clear that he hadn't looked at any of the material.
Okay.
And it just, basically, it was just reacting to 12 months is too much.
I would also just like to consider who is in this problems properties group and whose ear is, being bent the most regarding the need for quote unquote quick demolition. I think these last couple of presentations that we've had present a very clear reason why rushing to demolish buildings is not a good idea. We're talking about buildings that people have had for many, many years, and we're still running up against these issues. And to suggest that we sort of let people off the hook from doing their due diligence, whether it's legal, financial, or otherwise, I think we have our work cut out for us, that we have to reach out to city councilors and express, as clearly as possible why 6 months is not enough time. And I think there is a way to balance the conversation around development and preservation. I don't think it's either or. And I think if we can frame it both to the mayor and the city council, as well as the ordinance committee, I think we stand a better chance at this. But I think that problem properties group sometimes feels like it has way more decision-making capacity than is actually legally granted. And that I'd like to remind, the mayor that we have specific rules, and it's not clear to me, just because that problem properties group makes a decision, what the legal, outcome is. So.
Yeah, and I was, and I will report at my first property meeting, the last Thursday. I will go to the next one. After the next one, I feel I will have seen two, and I can speak a little more.
That'd be great.
But I think there is an issue there of, I think, which developer we can bring to Holyoke. And there's a lack of belief that if we impose a 12 months demolition delay and we want developer that really want to restore this building, that we cannot get them. But one thing I wanted to say that's really interesting, I send an email to a friend who's also a big mayor supporter, and I said, and it's a big restoration supporter. And she said, and I said, the mayor just issued this letter. Would you be willing to talk in favor of the preservation of a 12 months demolition delay? So she wrote back, but well, I mean, if the mayor says this, it's probably right. It will have his reason not to stop the 12 months. So I actually wrote back and saying, we're not trying to pass a 12 months demolition delay. We're trying to pass a preservation of historic building ordinance. This is a document that the Ordinance Commission has on their desk. She wrote back almost immediately, oh, that's a wonderful document. It makes a lot of sense now. I'll be supportive of it. But again, the difference there is Mayor Garcia calling 12 months extreme, and in our document writing 12 months is an average time suggested by Mass Historic for a demolition delay to be effective. And plus having all the list of the town that has it. So partially, again, just have a chance of validating all the research and the work that we have done.
I will go on record on this in publicly. I think the letter has, for me, it's super problematic for multiple reasons, but this is the one that actually I think is the most significant. Is the fact that it's bringing the capacity of understand historical preservation and significance to a team called the property group. The problem property group. And in that context, we are not included in the workflow. So I think, we exist as volunteers, as citizens of this town, in a way that we serve, and to basically try to our best to preserve the history in town, but we are not part of the decision making on the mayoral approach of this in terms of like significance. So we are basically what he's implying in that paragraph. This is the second paragraph of the letter, is that pretty much the only thing we do is create an obstacle for their process to determine historical relevance. And that's, in my opinion, not only offensive, but also like incorrect, because we exist for a reason. We are not an independent group of people that we're meeting in the city annex. We conduct public hearings. We abide by the city's laws, and we have a role in determining exactly what he's saying the problem priority group decides perfectly well. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, and the logic is, I think, incorrect. Beyond his position about the 6 or the 12 months, I think in the core, it's a public statement that we have no relevance or existence as a part of the city of Holyoke. And I think I wish the mayor can rephrase this in a public way and kind of apologize to us, because this is a clear statement of, you are just here to be a layer of bureaucracy. And that doesn't speak well about also the city by itself. Mm-hmm. So we are here to preserve history in town. We don't get paid. We are volunteers. We serve publicly around this. And we do take our time to go and research and document and meet. And the perfect example of how successful we can be just happened in this meeting. We saved the historical heritage of industrial America in Holyoke. So we did a great job. Otherwise, that smokestack, the boiler room, which is amazing. I would love everybody to see that in the flesh, will not be there. So that's my opinion around this.
Yes. So do we write, and we can do it for next meeting. Do we write a letter to the mayor, and do we write a letter to city council in response to the letter to the mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we should write a public letter, to be completely honest.
And what do you mean by public?
As directed to the citizens of this city. I think that's, this is a communication between the mayor and the city council. We are not in the middle of that. We are just trying to make clear that, to clarify the information that I think is incorrect in this letter, and just my point of view.
So you would like a letter so how would it be made public? Like ask the Gazette and Mass to publish it?
We can send a letter to both city council, as you said, and
the mayor.
And then that's it. But I think it's more like to kind of reiterate our mission, our duties, and our role.
Yeah.
And
also a plea to be taken seriously, because we are competent. This is what we think about. This is our field of expertise. And if the question of how to develop the city in a way that really uses is historical patrimony, we are the expert on that, and people seem to forget that.
And we are appointed by both the mayor and the city council.
Yes.
So,
We have a question from the public,
Yes. From Gabriela Alcantara.
and we need a microphone.
So my question is, you brought to the mayor documents to be reviewed by him, to inform him, and he didn't look at these materials?
Well, I didn't bring those documents to him,
Oh,
but the documents are public record.
okay,
So that document, in terms of what the demolition delay is in the folder of the ordinance committee.
I see.
What it didn't happen when he heard this, and I don't know who told him the historical commission is doing this.
Yes,
He immediately called me and he said, you should not be doing this. But in our conversation, I think it's pretty clear he didn't read the document.
okay.
Because when I said, but the majority of city in Massachusetts that have a demolition delay
Mhm,
have at least 12 months,
mhm.
he responded to me, which city are those? Which if he had looked at, exactly.
So my comment is, I don't know, how it works or the mechanisms of things, but I agree that a letter should be made public, but I think a remedy could be offered first in a form of a presentation to the mayor so that he understands before he, and then, based on presenting this information in a, more amicable way, I'm with you, but
Thank you. And there will be,
that's just my opinion.
Thank you so much.
yeah, and there will be in point as we talk about the letter I sent to the mayor and the report.
So,
But-
Paula, is this an appropriate time for me to sort of insert the question that I'd like to ask Ms. Degnan about the commission and the appointments, or?
Who are you asking to?
I'm asking you if this is an appropriate time for me to bring up a question to the attorney regarding appointments.
Sure, sure.
So as those who have been in attendance in our meetings over the last several months, Ms. Degnan, you have been one in particular. You've observed that we are low numbers in the commission for several months. We've also experienced the loss of 2 commissioners, and there has not been any move, as that woman who just spoke mentioned, sorry, I forgot her last name, that, she hasn't heard one way or the other. We are concerned that there may be, we can't speculate one way or the other, but it's not clear why the mayor is not appointing more people to our commission. We have 4 members and an alternate. So if only one of us wasn't here today, we would not be able to have a meeting, right? So 3 would not constitute a meeting. And it's very unclear why nobody has been even interviewed or, moved forward with the process of being appointed to the commission. So some of us were wondering, what recourse do we have if it's determined that there's some other reason that we are not aware of as to why we're not getting new members. We welcome new members. We want new members. We know that there's a lot more people in the city who have similar interests and want to advocate on behalf of the historic preservation. So we're at a loss here as to why we don't have more new members.
And is this an appropriate question for a public hearing?
You're asking me
Public
whether,
meeting.
well, basically, I think we should be sticking to the agenda.
Well, the agenda, that is part of that letter is,
Okay. Okay, I don't have the letter, so, okay.
Yeah.
Elana, I can bring question to Attorney Deegan, but she can only answer, I believe, question regarding our procedure for the town. But I can ask, once we decide the course of action, I can go and ask her if it's appropriate for a commission to act in that way.
I think the larger issue is, what happens if after a period of time, nobody is appointed to the commission?
Mhm.
I think the chair's suggestion is a good one. I mean, factually, I don't have the answer to your question as to why. It happens sometimes in municipalities that for whatever reason, and I'm not commenting or speculating on why, but it does happen in municipalities. And usually, I mean, they get filled. So, I mean, from a factual perspective, I can't answer your question because I don't know.
Well, just as an informational piece, Louise and I were the last two appointed, and that was in 2020. So we're in 2022 now.
Yeah.
Actually, there was one other person who did not make it because he missed too many meetings. So there was a third person appointed, but he did not last past 2021, I believe. So 2 years with no appointments.
Okay, but Elana, it's not that we don't know. I can tell you why the mayor is not appointing what is said to me in the meeting that we had. So basically, and again, so I'm bringing you to you today. He is still under the impression that there was a miscommunication between the commission, the Historic District Commission, Local Historic District Commission, and the Historical Commission. And in fact, he asked me in our meeting if I could set up a meeting for the two commission to meet with him present, because in his metaphor, he said I could, I feel there was a communication block, like a knot, and I could solve it. And yeah. But so I said, so he said, can you set up a meeting for me? I said, okay, I can do that, when in fact I cannot.
No.
I can only come to you and
This
say,
commission, not Fairfield.
no,
Cannot.
but before even doing that, we have table
Our discussion on joining the two commissions.
mission. So,
Chris, I can't hear what you're saying.
oh,
We had tabled discussion about joining the two commissions.
and therefore, what I have to do tonight, because I told the mayor I would try, what I can do is to ask for a motion to untable. And the only person that can bring the motion forth is somebody who voted to table. So,
We can still vote to table it as well.
well, it's tabled.
Right. I mean,
So in order to untable,
there has to be a motion.
yeah. So all I can do is ask for a motion. Is there a motion to untable?
No, on my side.
No.
Okay, that's a pretty strong message. So that's all I can do. And I can report to the mayor that no. But, and Marco is not here, do you want me, should I write a letter to the Historic District Commission asking them to vote on this? Because they never voted on it, and it was clear to me that they didn't particularly want their commission gone. But right now, as the chair, I'm taking all the heat. We are taking all the heat at the commission that doesn't want to join. And I don't think this is the case.
I think you give it back to him that we do not want to proceed further, and we're not going to contact Fairfield.
Okay, and so, and just to make clear, we're down to just for people with Marco as an alternate.
Yes.
And one thing that the mayor may do, and we can find it, is put the order in to charter and rule to merge the commissions.
Mhm. Yes, right.
And we can certainly fight it. But I can certainly write another letter to the mayor saying, we are not going to have that meeting. And are we willing as a commission to talk to the mayor about the demolition delay, his letter, and give him more explanation if he asks?
Yes.
I don't know, about the joining of the commission.
Not about the joining. I mean, about the.
I'd really rather leave that last part out because I
Okay.
feel it's a bargaining chip that none of us seems willing to utilize, and it just feels like we'd be pandering. We all
So,
feel strongly about it, and
yeah, and I felt my letter was very clear about the role of the two commissions. But actually, I don't know if he read it. Because when I met, he was asking me questions like, why can't you take care of the porches, to the hearings about porches and colors on Fairfield and all of that. The other thing that we have to make very clear, if the commission were to be joined, it would be a all completely new set of commissioners.
Right. Right.
Question? Peter
Yes.
Palambella, 5 Center Street. Does the Holyoke Historical Commission still have its own bylaws? Because 10 years ago, when I was an associate member, our bylaws allowed us to vote in our own associate members as a commission. Regular voting members of the commission had to be appointed by, of course, the mayor and the city council, but we were allowed to assign our own associate members at the time.
Yeah, we no longer have associates. We only have alternate.
But it's the same presidents.
Is the same?
Same.
So I'll go back and look carefully.
Because it was only 10 years ago, and those bylaws were created by the commission itself, and the commission could change its bylaws when it wanted. Also,
Yes.
I'm somewhat disturbed that the mayor doesn't seem to understand the distinction between the Fairfield Avenue District and the Holyoke Historical Commission. They're very different bodies. They're formed under different laws.
And what is particularly frustrating is that I know that there are two people sitting in the meeting on the Fairfield Commission really wanting to be appointed, from what I heard. And I know, there are people here tonight. Several people had asked to be appointed on the Historical Commission, and it is not appointing. But what was very interesting, and that is, and I think, I try to speak to the best of my ability. He looked at me with this very earnest face and said to me, do people even want a Fairfield Historic District? So it doesn't, and it doesn't understand people who find pleasure in maintaining history.
So in regards, I have the bylaws up on the section of appointments and vacancies. It says very clearly, made by the mayor in accordance with chapter 40, section 8D, terms of appointment for 3 years, any given year, approximately 1/3 shall expire. Removal of mayors typically has to do with the mayor stepping in, or members may be asked to resign by the chairperson or majority vote. Vacancy occurring otherwise than by expiration shall be filled for the unexpired term in the same manner. Then lastly, there is a section on nominees that says the commission may make recommendations to the mayor of nominees for members of the commission. We'll give special consideration to members of any recognized historical society, local chapter of American Institute of Architects, Board of Realtors, any museum professional, etc. So it does appear that that is still appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council.
Okay.
You had something.
So are we to making a motion for you to follow up with the letter?
So I'm becoming quite a writer, but so, so we have, so from what I understand, so there's gonna be and we can all chip in maybe on the public letter of the, oh, no, but I think, so what are we doing? Are we writing a letter to the mayor first?
I think Louis has something to say.
Okay,
Well, yes to that, but I think it's important for us, for the four of us in this case, to be part of the process of putting together that letter. As you know, we have the open laws, like limitations, but we have to find a way to have a collaboration in that letter. I think
mhm.
I am in favor of the letter only in the case that we somehow are in agreement of that. That's something that we want to share. And what is the body of that letter? I don't know how can we make that happen without, crossing that. Maybe we can just draft something and then vote it on the next meeting, if that's, the open way to do this.
Yes,
But I think it's important for us to have the kind of like put an effort in that letter, because it's pretty much probably the most important letter that we're gonna write in 2022.
mhm. And we can have a subcommittee of 3 people to write the letter. We can form a subcommittee, and we might have to have a subcommittee that respond to the mayor. It might not be the last letter, that's what I'm saying. But we could form a subcommittee until next meeting, so that 3 people together can work at the letter. Is that a good idea?
Yes.
And my last comment is that we table the situation of related to the merge of the commissions.
Related to?
The merge of the commissions.
Oh, that's tabled.
So
and I
I
mean-
think that's something that I'll rather not discuss anymore if it's table, unless some of the people that voted in that
Mhm.
wants to like untable that.
Not to make a motion to untable in Robert's law of open meeting is one of the strongest messages that anybody can send. It never happens. So that's really strong message. Okay, so I need a motion.
To what? There's so many
Well,
things in this part of the commission.
Subcommission.
I make a motion to create a subcommittee to in charge of the letter to the mayor related to responding to his letter directed to the city council around the demo delay.
All in, second? All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Chair would love to have a vacation from writing a letter.
Okay. I make a motion.
So let's
Follow a
record,
break.
so
should-
let's record show that Luis.
We should talk to all the rest of the commissioners that are not here.
Yeah, Luis and Anna and Chris will write a letter. Okay, so let me think if everything was from the meeting with the mayor. Yeah, that's pretty much all of it. Yes.
Can I just, you had asked about the inventory from the buildings from the 20s.
Oh my God, thank
to
you.
the 47. There is a file somewhere. I know earlier in the commission, something we had, but I can't find it. So I'm still diligently looking for it.
So, and now we have a month,
Right,
which is
okay.
good. And I also, I ask for, because Chair Bacon asked me for the exact or somewhat exact number of properties from 1922 to 1947,
Mhm.
which would be property that would be at risk if we don't extend the age, we don't shorten the age of building that have to go through a demolition delay review by 25 years. So she wants to know how many building exactly. I wrote the city engineer. I talked to a couple of people. We need to go to the assessor office
Okay.
and maybe find that
Okay.
file. Yeah,
All right.
that's something we have
Okay.
to do.
So we're moving to item 8 of the agenda now.
Yes.
We're moving to item 8.
Item 8.
Item 8.
Yes.
So Facebook page for the Holyoke Historical Commission, and Attorney Deegan will give us a little bit advice because there are cons. So I want to be aware of those.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. The issue with the Facebook, and specifically the cons to it, is that because you're doing this as a body, it would constitute a public record. And so public records are covered by the public records law. So if you put something on Facebook, you just can't remove it because you want to. It would stay there. And it strikes me that that might be a con for you, that you wouldn't want to put this out there and then, I mean, not that you can do that with a public record, and that's exactly the point. When something's a public record, the city has to keep them, and that includes this commission, has to keep them for a period of time. And it depends upon what kind of records you're talking about. Veterans records, for example, you have to keep forever. But this body, I have an idea, but I'd have to double check to give you the actual amount of years. But getting back to the Facebook, you're creating a public record that would stay there. And it strikes me that you might not want that in the final analysis. It might sound good conceptually, but you may not want that. So that's one thing that I would like to say. I'm not sure how much you really want to have these things on Facebook, but I can try and answer any questions that you have.
Well, I
Does it-
guess I'm just kind of curious. I mean, this isn't necessarily directed at you, Attorney Degnan, but I feel like if we can get our presence known on the Holyoke website and the one that's being developed as part of the tourism plan, the historic tourism plan, if we are, linked to that page, then I think that kind of removes the need for Facebook. I think there are ways that we can advertise on Facebook that are maybe not falling into the public record piece, that we can announce, this or that about the Historic Commission and things that we may be involved in. But that website, when it rolls out, I think that's being set up as sort of a clearinghouse for historic tourism. So that's just my 2 cents.
So we need somebody who would run a historical commission fan website. I mean, a Facebook page.
Does this have to be approved by?
No,
anyone?
I just brought it back up because it's something that I would like. Basically, I think we have the page. I mean, we have the city page. But how do we have more visibility? That was a thing.
Well, again, I think also, connecting to the Mass Historical Society, connecting to other industrial cities, getting, the link to the historic tourism site, and just letting people know that they can find out more information about us through checking out that website.
Mhm.
What about the city's website that we really don't utilize?
Well, no, all our information
It's
is on
just
there.
Record information, but
But it's very strange because there are more people that learn about issue and meeting from Facebook than going to the
Right.
city website.
well, right, directly.
So what happens, for example, attorney, with the CPA page? CPA has a Facebook page and I think a YouTube channel, and with the
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
in their case, are they just clear that everything that is on there is public record?
Well, I haven't I haven't seen what they have. I wasn't aware that they were doing it. Would I have a concern that, I mean, yeah, I think it's a public record. It's a public matter. Assuming that they're talking about projects that they're looking into. It's, like I said, I haven't seen it, but,
I have it up right in front of me. It does seem fairly benign what they post. They're posting about meetings. They're posting about the work that Habitat for Humanity is doing. They posted about the CPA survey back in January. As far as I can tell, mostly everything here is something about CPA projects, the fiscal year 22 CPA projects, and just the work that they're doing and information about meetings. That's pretty much all I'm seeing on this page right now.
I mean,
So I did not do much of my homework. I didn't look at the CPA Facebook page, but it might be worth looking at the CPA page and ask who maintains them. And also see any problem that they might have had. I think that's a good thing. In the meantime, we take a few pictures of us doing our site viewing, see what kind of, do a content that we could put on it, and we could vote on our next meeting.
Yeah, I think there's, I think, two pieces for me. Like the number one is like, how can we use another platform as for communication purposes, like just to translate, to bring in awareness of something that is already like in the recording of the meeting, in the minutes, just highlighting specific things that and probably just that to begin with. And then like the other option that I see is that how can we probably in a private way share the same links that are already in the website of the city, and just in terms of communicate, this is what happened, this is exactly, not probably bring an opinion. I don't know if that's allowed in a private sphere, but I think that can be a good starting point that doesn't require major like change it or design.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's a way where we can do post without comments.
Yes. Okay.
So we can do posts where people cannot put comments.
I don't think in Facebook is possible.
Oh, okay.
No?
Only in YouTube.
Is that what it is?
All right. So we do a little homework
Mhm.
and we get all the possible cases and vote next time.
But I will definitely want also the opinion of the attorney in this case, to
Yes.
keep like running up what's possible, what can be I mean, it's super clear what you said about public record. I think so that kind of constrains the editorial component of this. But I think there's, within that, this other case studies, like for example, DPW has a Facebook page. And then, so how can we find some mid ground around
But
that?
DPW is a department, it's not a commission.
But what I'm saying is
Mhm.
still like,
It's still city.
It's still?
It's still city.
or
right?
maybe I'm wrong, but that's
No, but that's a question because I'm not sure, because we are a commission. DPW they work, they don't vote on anything. I think it's very different. But we'll do our homework on
Can
that.
we have a demonstration? Page For the next meeting?
that's
Yeah.
very simple. It's just, I think the most important thing is that we have to, in order to make a demo, you don't like create a page and hide it.
Right.
It has to
right.
be public.
Uh-huh.
And then as soon as it's public, then
It's out.
it's out. Yeah.
Okay, can we move to point 9?
Yes.
Excellent. So report on progress with organizing the archive, staff, assignment, City of Holyoke email address for officer. So one thing that is, oh, sorry.
Can I make a motion to, what's the expression to move out of the, out of order and address item 11, since we have Peter waiting for us.
Oh, Peter, I didn't know you want to talk about the Essex Street district?
No, not today. I'm just sitting in on your meeting.
No.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah, this is another.
Okay,
thing.
Sorry. I thought
Thank
you were.
you so much for coming. It was so appreciated. We never have public. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So one thing that is good, I reached out to Holyoke Media. Turned out that Aaron had reached out to them too. But today we had the official communication that the mayor approved for us to be on Holyoke Media. So video of our meeting will be on Holyoke Media.
That's it.
I know. And it's good. So people, and you know, especially after what happened with Girls Inc. and people were going and looking for the link to the meeting, that way they will be there. So you'll be on TV. So far, I think, you know, this is delicate. So, and we cannot talk about staff. We cannot make name of staff, you know, but so far, I think Chris and I might have to have another meeting with the staff that was assigned to us. One thing that I can report right now, the drive that we were supposed to have, you have access to it too, I think. There are only the records that are there. Well, let me go to it. Let's see. Historical Commission. So basically, the document are not quite in order. I mean, Marie said she's starting to put in the map, but I was hoping for the archives that were there.
You're saying everything. Everything.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
commission-
because for instance, you know, when we have former demolition delay cases, when you go, we only in the folder, there's only the note of determination. But the packages that were submitted are not there. And I know, you know, when I was doing the movie for Mater Dolorosa, Ben Murphy was able to send me material. For CPA, the only thing that's there now is Attorney Deegan opinion. For the agendas, I mean, they're on the website, but so right now what's here, it's only the recent ones. And the recording, there are only, let's see, where are the recordings?
It's the last,
So-
it's the last folder of that. There's,
Oh. Recent minutes and recording. Yeah, so there's just from the past 2 or 3 meeting. And when I wanted to download the meeting, the very first meeting of the public hearing from 195 Apple, because I wanted to make sure that the historical record was there.
Mhm.
The file is just a sound MP4.
Does that get
I don't know.
switched in some format or?
Well, when I click on it, doesn't open directly.
Right, right.
So I have to download it. And when I download it, seems to come out as audio only. I don't know if it's me.
No, because I tried the same.
Okay.
I tried the same. Yeah.
So, and all the past meeting have not been uploaded yet.
The recordings. The
Yeah, the
recordings.
recording. I mean, if we were, I mean, hopefully they will be transferred to Holyoke Media. But if we wanted to go to past recording, I don't know where they are. The letters, the letter for CPA, they've not been uploaded yet, the proposal. So as of now, our archives they're not here and they've not been restored.
I think, and this is a kind of an executive proposal. I think we should just request a time frame. We can be, it's this work takes time, and I think it's among other things that probably are more important. But I think we can have a space of 2 or 3 months when things can be uploaded. I think that's kind of like a more realistic way, because there's a lot of I deal with files a lot, and I think it takes time sometimes, and we can kind of like go over the files and let's say in 2 months or in 3 months, and then go back and make an assessment around that. I think it just
Well, but what I'm wondering, and one thing that I would like to see is the archive that's there, because technically all the files were already ordered and in place. I think as an historical
So you're
commission.
saying if we have to go back to something, it's not there.
Well,
at this
well,
point in
right,
time.
right now, there's a lot of things missing, and I had asked for a letter, the letter for Girls Inc. of historical determination, and it couldn't be found, so I had to call the CPA executive assistant to be sent to our legal department. So I don't mind, it might be a little longer for us to have access.
Can you
But-
guys hear me? Because I could actually answer some of these questions. It's Marie, by the way.
Yes.
Hi, Marie.
Hi, Marie. So,
Here, let me turn my camera on.
so where are the complete archives?
So we have everything in our internal drive, like the city's network, and we also have physical copies of like everything. But right now we've been going through reorganizing all our files, reorganizing all the archives, and digitizing everything that wasn't digitized. And we had a lot of people out of office in the past couple of weeks. We had our intern out for a while who was doing a lot of that. She's been great, and she's going as fast as she can with a lot of the digitizing older things. It's just a slower and more involved process. And then we've been reorganizing our digital drive to make sure everything's better. And as I've been finding things, I've been uploading them to your Google Drive. It is just slower to get it done, especially with the video recordings and the audio recordings take a long time when I'm uploading them. So I am working on it. When the office is slower, it does take a decent amount of time and a lot of scanning, because I've been trying to find a lot of the letters, but like every letter of support we have from multiple boards and commissions are all in this one giant folder. So I've been going through, reading all of them, relabeling them for the correct board and commission, putting correct dates on them, and then uploading them. So it's just a slower process, but we're working on it for you guys.
And Marie, were you trained for cataloging? Because you're saying you're reading them. Do you have skill to make an efficient cataloging way to put things together.
Yep. Yep, we have a great team here at OPED. They've been helping me lots. Sharon has a great system with planning, and I've been taking a lot of how she organizes her files and trying to make everything uniform throughout the office. So she's been awesome in helping me.
Yeah,
That's Shannon from the Planning Commission?
Sharon is the head clerk for.
Oh, Sharon, sorry.
She's the other head clerk here in OPED, and she's been training me, and she's been great.
But you did not have formal training in school for archiving.
For archiving?
Yeah.
No, I have a degree in political science and public policy. My minor is in history, so I've done minimal archival research, but I have.
Okay.
I agree with Louis. I think that this is all going to be a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all work together. I think I'm just concerned if we need something right away.
Yep.
Where does this come from, Marie? If something is requested right away, you'll be able to find it.
Well, that is the hope, which is why we are reorganizing our drive, because it has been difficult for everyone to find things. So the hope is we can get things quicker. We just need a little bit of patience when people ask for records requests.
Now, are we talking everything basically the commission has done for a certain period, or kind of just recently, so to say?
Do you mean like
this year?
Right, the recent notes, but like how far are you just eventually going to try to do everything? Whatever is involved with the commission, any commission, so to say.
So I've been working on the stuff that's the past few years, because that's all the
Okay.
things that's been a lot easier to organize. And then we have an intern who does she is working on anything that is old enough that it was not digitized is getting scanned and uploaded. So she's working on the much older archives. And I am working on the more recent things, just cleaning up the digital stuff.
Okay.
Because a lot of it just like wasn't labeled. Like we found things that just said letter of support, but it didn't say what it was for. It didn't have a date on it, or it didn't say historic commission. So we had to go through and just make sure all the files are properly named. It's just little things like that, and just can take a decent amount of time.
So a lot of the things that we thought may have been missing at some point will maybe surface then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, and maybe it might be good for the intern and you to talk to the commission, because for instance, for demolition delay cases, they should really be divided in packages. So for each address, you have everything from the package that was submitted to the final notice of determination.
Yeah,
By
so that's
address
what we
rather
by
than-
address.
Right.
that is what we do. I've gone through in the digital archives, everything is by address, has an individual folder in our demo delay case folder. So everything for that one address is all in one folder. And that's the same thing she's doing with the physical archives.
We look forward to your progress.
Let's see.
Emails, right?
Emails.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard from Aaron that it's at this point it's too expensive for us to have
City emails.
city emails. So that is not happening.
Well, I'm glad I didn't send my personal information to a totally random location. Like, send us your email, send us your address, send us, So I'm actually glad I didn't take that step. So thank you, but it's disappointing all the same. What about just having the chair have an email?
Well, again, we had asked for at least chair, vice chair, but I don't know, at the moment, it seems to be too expensive.
Okay.
Let's see what the email I got.
But in a way, do we even want to start with that now?
Well,
mean-
for me it's hard because
Your
it's my
many-
work
your hats,
email.
Right,
I have to make sure that I take away my
your titles.
my
and- right,
title
right.
for work
Right.
and also it's not that clear, and I mean it would make so much more sense
Mhm,
because it brings that other whole thing about that we're dealing with personnel
mhm.
and this idea that was brought up in the meeting where we have that some things have a conflict of interest.
Right,
So personnel cannot respond and I
Right.
have to respond.
right.
And to me, it's weird to use my personal email. Okay, so maybe we'll soon have another meeting,
Yeah,
but also, and one thing to think about is, do we stay in open? What, can we resolve this conflict of interest so that we can actually be staffed to our needs?
That's
I make-
another conversation I think we should put in the agenda as
Yes,
properly as an item.
Yeah,
yes.
I was just gonna make a motion that we add this as an agenda item for the next meeting.
What would be the agenda item exactly?
Further discussion of emails and, what you just mentioned regarding op-ed,
Yes,
exploring our options for funding and or association.
yes. Because again,
Wait,
when
wait,
we go-
wait, I made a motion.
Oh, sorry.
I
Sorry.
second, I second that.
Sorry.
I second.
What was the okay, all right. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Yeah, but yeah, one thing that I can say also, and the staff here is probably very good staff, but we never got to interview. And it was staff chosen, sounds like mostly for open. And we have certain needs. Report from commissioner attending other boards and committee meeting. Elana?
We haven't had another tourism meeting since the last one. I did send Aaron an email last week asking about scheduling. And I haven't heard anything back. It may end up being not this week, it might be next week or the week after. So I will have more information as to where things are at with regard to that committee. It does appear obviously that you've been in touch with Shannon from Pioneer Valley Planning, and she's a big force of that meeting. So having her come to our next, I believe that's the plan, is for her
Yes.
to come to the next historic commission meeting. So I'm sure we'll both have plenty to share at the next meeting.
And as I said, I sat in my first problem property meeting, which was interesting. I'm trying to understand what's going on, and I am probably next meeting, I'm gonna report. It's interesting because I just made one comment about possibly bringing in more developers from outside Holyoke.
Mhm.
And I'll see where that comment goes. Also, next meeting will be interesting because they said a retired judge from Springfield is coming. She wants to have a foundation where she helps people buy their first home
Wow.
and restore it themselves. And I'll be able to know if she wants to restore them historically, where a lot of the program in Holyoke, and they were talking about, and a lot of receivership is to make houses that are that people with FHA loan can afford,
Mhm.
which is great. But by doing this, a lot of houses, if they're not built new, a lot of houses get stripped of all the historical parts to make them lead-free and all of that. So
There's specifications.
it would be great to have a program that encourage preservation of historic houses for first-time lower income
Mhm.
property would be fantastic.
Very nice.
So I'll know more.
Perfect example of that, Paula, is 19 Fairfield. It just went on the market at a very low price.
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
by the way,
Desperately looking for, I hope somebody buys and restores that.
by the way, I'll say a few words in announcement about that.
Okay.
What is it the low price or it's the first bid price?
Well, not the big house. I'm talking about 19
Another one.
Fairfield, which is
Oh.
between Nonotuck and Pearl.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's that sad house that doesn't even look, it's gray and white and the paint is chipping off. But it's
Oh.
listed for 159. So whoever buys it has a big project in front of them. But anyway,
Oh,
you're
thank you for-
talking about the other house
No,
on
I missed
Fairfield?
that. That's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, excellent. So I think we're done with point 10, right? Oh,
I
you,
just want to say I'm chair of the Holyoke Preservation Trust Garden Tour. We have a garden tour coming up June 4th.
Yippee.
That's it.
know that,
I'm volunteering for that.
Thank
the way.
you. Thank you.
Really great. And thank you for extending the hours. Makes a big
Yes.
difference for
Yes.
people who volunteer. Thank you.
It's going to be big this year.
Essex Historic District, I keep receiving material. I just got a new letter that was not to me, and now I'm asking when they're sent to me, how did it come to me? So I think they're coming from Mass Historic to the Historical Commission.
Mhm.
This is not one of our priority, but it's interesting, after having the tour of at the Hadley Mill
Mhm.
Housing Historic District. Thank you again, Peter. We know, these historic district are a lot for tax write-off
Mhm.
and not really for quite historic look and all of that. We can take our time looking.
Mhm.
We don't have to write a letter or anything.
Okay.
Announcements. So again, the tour of Adley Fall Company was fantastic, I thought,
Very nice.
and huge amount to think about.
Yes.
And it's a real jewel, and I hope we can do something in the future to help them with maybe get CPA grants. Or Alana, you suggested the Mass Historic Emergency Grants.
Yeah, the email that I sent you, whatever, a couple weeks ago, where it was basically like additional funding available. That was something that, it came to my mind when we were walking that property.
But it would be really nice if we can, on our time, it's been on my mind since we've been there.
It was a great tour. It was really.
It's
good.
actually,
And-
the monies are available for what they determined to be the most endangered.
Yes,
So.
and
That emergency, what was it again?
no, the
Most
most
endangered.
endangered.
No, but what is the grant?
It's
It's-
for,
Sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So Preservation Massachusetts will begin accepting nominations for the 2022 Most Endangered Historic Resources list on May 1st. Check out the website to learn more about the Most Endangered program, as well as links to the nomination application portal and our MER application prep sheet. So basically, it's an opportunity to access some additional funding for, but potentially it could be for something like the South Hadley Mills housing. They all seem to, at least the people who were on that tour, seem to speak to the same general issues.
in terms of needing to do repairs, but not having the consensus, and not really having any sort of association to back them up.
So, yeah. So, yeah, my other announcement is 48 Fairfield is coming up for auction. It's also listed in MLS, but on the listing, it says that it's in an historic district, but doesn't specify what kind of historic district. So I wrote Marco and I said, will you write the real estate agent, telling him that the word local here is really key, because they should know that people should be informed that that property has preservation restriction in the way it look. And he asked me for the legal base. And basically in Massachusetts, for real estate, there isn't a buyer beware, meaning the buyer doesn't have to do all of the research. But if an agent, if somebody tells an agent, this is a local historic district, they are bound to tell their client. So I'm thinking it would be a nice thing. What I'm gonna do, probably, I'm gonna walk around at the auction and at the viewing and pass out some flyer of the difference between local historic district and historic district. Because because as of now, it's very generic on the MLS listing. I covered the Holyoke media that will take our recording. In new business, Sharon Walsh of the Historic and Cultural Tourism for this plan will come and talk to us next meeting. She wants to get as many groups involved as possible. So I will send an invitation, probably, off the top of my head, to the preservation staff, to neighbor, any group in Holyoke, to the south side, the Hadley Mill apartment complex. Just brainstorm, because probably, again, Garden of Holyoke, they have a Facebook page. I will put a post there, because basically it's about what are Holyoke resources, the plan, what we want to do, and they want to have a lot of feedback. She sent me a set of a lot of questions, which I will forward to you all.
I already have that, Paula.
Oh, okay, but it's, and correct me, Alan, if I'm wrong, but it's all about connecting the big picture and all the from hiking to historical to anything that becomes attraction for Holyoke and resources. By the way, I look at the on our website. Hold on. Holyoke historical. Okay. So one of the things that we talked about was the Holyoke preservation plan. And the one that is on our website, it's interesting because and as the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, that Sharon is part on it, and one of the recommendation is change or demolition delay ordinance.
Really?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we need to send. So that is important. And so we'll set it up, but I really want her to have a lot of resources and feedback. So it would be great, any group you can think of, I can send them a formal invitation. And again, and we really need to show the diversity of our commission. Last thing, I apologize for Olivia's letter. There was a surprise. I don't know what to do about it.
Wait, what are you referring to?
The letter that Olivia sent to Mass Historic and gave me a minor heart attack.
Is that letter something that was included in the packet or?
I sent it later and sent the communication. I just responded to this.
No. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were referring to.
And she did not CC me when she sent me, and I did get a text from her saying I got a call from Jennifer Dorothy wanting to talk to me about what I wrote to the chair of Mass Historic. And I wrote back, "What did you write?" And she forwarded me the letter. And
Okay. All right, I guess we'll just wait and
What?
see.
She did her own thing.
she
wrote her
did,
own letter.
yeah, she did her own thing.
Okay.
And
I think it's an opportunity for having establish a direct communication between you and the head of Mass Historic and
Mhm.
avoid these, messengers throughout the process.
yeah, no, I mean, one thing very clear, I did not absolutely ask I did not ask Olivia to communicate anything to Mass Historic, but because our past chair did not do political things, and I want to be more involved with Mass Historic, I did ask her for a formal introduction. Because, it is my, her representation of Olivia to me is that she knows him very well. And, she has done project with him. So I said, it would be great if I could have a formal introduction from you.
Yeah, it was quite an introduction.
Boy. Me-
But I think, I think we should just
Yes.
your response, which is in the packet, is super clear. I think we should just
Oh,
leave
yeah.
leave it as it is.
Yes, yes.
I make a motion to adjourn our meeting
It's early?
unless there's any old business.
If I get a second, we might end before 8.
I second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney
Thank you so much.
Deegan.
Thank you.
Really,
Good night.
Thank you,
really
everybody.
important.
Thank you,
All-
Welcome.
Attorney
all-
Degnan. Thank you very much.
Highly appreciate
Thanks,
it.
You're
Jennifer.
welcome. Good
Thank
night
you,
now.
Marie.